All right. Anybody there? Can you hear me? All right. Hey, Delia. Okay. We just gotta give it a minute. Get the body count up. Let me see. Okay, hang on. All right, what are we up to? 11. Okay, where's all the peoples? I got 11 concurrent right now. 6, 7, 8. All right. Do you guys want to try? Okay, I want to, first of all, let's just do a little bit of a latency test, okay? I mentioned that I've got something like close to a gigabit rolling through my wired connection. It's a bit of a long story, but it involves finding a way to get point-to-point Ethernet into my home office and then plugging directly into that so that I'm getting like 900 megabits actual effective throughput, which is smoking. So what I wanted to get a feel for was what that does to the latency. It's got to reduce some of the latency going out, but I'm not sure. So one of the burning questions, oh, it looks like we got a general, everybody's hanging on the general voice channel here. All right, hang on a second. Yeah, so for those of you now that can hear me on the audio on Discord, what kind of a latency is there between that, which should be pretty quick, and what you're hearing on the YouTube live stream? Anybody? Bueller? So what's the latency, you guys? I've got like most of you are on the voice channel on Discord. So John, still long, huh? Wow. Is that a latency between when you hear it on Discord and when you hear it on YouTube Live? Okay. What is it? What do you guys? Crap. Always 20. So it may just be built in. Well, I know it's not my wired connection going up. I know that. But I'm showing a delay of 5 seconds, which allows a little bit of buffering. So it's got to be somehow built into YouTube. Well, I thought it was worth trying anyway, but we'll be okay. We're actually so close to the end of the thing. Hang on, let me see, what was the comment? Hang on a second. Yeah, McKay said he could see me talking but not hearing anything from Discord. Well, everybody else not hearing?
I can hear you.
You hear? Okay. Erica can. Okay, so McKay and whoever Fonz is. Okay. Jason, I don't know, right? Is it pilot error? I mean, if I'm going out and anybody can hear me, then everybody should be able to hear me, if my logic is correct. Yeah, agree, confirm or deny on that. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Well, anyway, the ongoing experiment just keeps going on and on. I'll tell you what, I do still like the ability to have the interactive, face and screen and slides and whatever. And the reality is, even with the latency, I've still had predominantly positive interactions or positive feedback about the YouTube live streaming. So I think we're just going to stick with it. Is that okay? Can we just stick with the live streaming down the stretch? There's only technically now after today, there are literally only 5 class periods like on the schedule at all. And the reality is, there were a handful of things I was going to do. For example, I was going to have Neil Harrison do a guest lecture talking about patterns of like parallel processing patterns. It's a cool lecture. I think it's just too encumbered to pull that off right now, so that kind of starts over. McKay, what do you? Michael's talking to McKay. I didn't know if that was a message for me to restart, but and I'm still gonna. Yeah, thanks, Delia. I think live streams the way to. I think we're just gonna stick with it. Now, what I might want to try to do is still play around with getting the Discord voice channel to feed into the stream, so that any things that are happening can kick over. Okay, yeah, pilot error. I thought it might be pilot error following my logic. Okay, but here's where we're at. Okay, today is April 6th. We're right here. That's literally the whole end of the semester right there. Okay? And what you'll notice is there's a bunch of TBD, and so, we were going to talk about activity diagrams. We talked about state diagrams. I think we're wrapping up activity diagrams, communication diagrams, and then kind of like wrap up. And so, in my opinion, we just move to cover what I was going to cover, and I'm not worried. I'm not worried about finding some reason to fill out if we can just sort of be done. I think we would all really, really like that. I don't think I'm going to get too much pushback on that. Let's see. But yeah, so this is kind of really where we're at is, hang on, I just want to check the Discord chat. Now, okay, so Jason, is that message to me to check Discord's audio output setting, or are you talking about everybody who's not hearing it? Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay, my friends. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with that is what's left. And so I'm all good with let's try to pound it out and see how far we can get. If we end early, we end early. Well, and if, anyone's got a problem, we're just going to plead pandemic. And so anyway, I hope everyone's doing okay. Hope everyone's healthy. I had one member of my family with a coronavirus test that was negative, but anybody any other experiences so far with just kind of general health and well-being? What? Anyway, stay safe, okay? Stay healthy and safe. We are, man. Anyway, I want to just show you. This is the one. This is the one that's got me a little bit jacked, honestly. That's not a that's just not the right trend line. You know what I mean? For the U.S. is the dark red. So we're kind of crossing over Italy right now. You know, meaning that we reached 10,000 deaths at the same pace that Italy reached 10,000 deaths, but obviously our growth curve is still quite a bit higher. So anyway, it's just still a thing, you know. So just stay safe. Okay. Oh, and I wanted to throw out one more thing. See what you guys thought about this. So I have been, like a lot of you, just trying to, you know, I got plenty of things to do to keep me busy, but there's also just a little bit of stir crazy factor because everyone, you know, you're kind of more inside than normal. And I wanted to throw something out and see if anybody was interested. And here's what I would like to propose for those of you that are musically inclined, whatever that is, you know, whether that's you play an instrument or you whatever, I don't care what it is, vocals, whatever. I want to put together some kind of a distributed musical cover, ideally cover, just because it's more recognizable, but it could be something original if we wanted to. And so if you would, if you're interested, either you have the talent and you have the, you know, you feel like you'd have the availability. And what I want to do basically is a distributed recording with video, so we can kind of like just put together, you know, whatever, however many bodies it takes to do the thing. And I can drop in the drums, I can drop in bass, I can drop in acoustic guitar. I don't own an electric guitar. But anyway, if you guys are interested, would you drop a note and we'll try to maybe, you know, in my ideal world, I've got 3 classes, right? In my ideal world, Dr. K's Coronis, Dr. K's Crooners, maybe. Anyway, yeah, so anyway, if you're interested, what I'd love to be able to do is actually have like one kind of like, you know, contribution per class period, right? So one for 2810, one for 3450, one for 4450. If there's not enough talent slash interest, you know, availability, then I'm okay, you know, pulling a group together, you know, across the 3, or maybe 2 different numbers across the 3 sections, depending upon what you want to do. And really just about anything is fine by me, we can do. But I think that doing some kind of a cover, and the simpler the better. And then what I'll do is actually, you know, what we would do is basically just cut a video with audio of you doing sort of your part. We get some kind of a, either you throw the headphones on and you're playing along with a track so that you've got the timing consistent, or you can do like a click track. We can get Erica a cowbell. Anyway, so anyway, you can do whatever it is so it's consistent, and then each person just contributes, and then we just grab the video, you know, with the audio, and we just overlay those. So we got to get as good a quality as we can get on a recording like that. But anyway, we got any takers? Any takers at all here? Come on, folks. Well, that's good. Yeah. Well, and I don't know. Well, noodle on it, okay? I can see you're going to leave me hanging, and I can see. Yeah, Devin's not on here. Devin's actually a pretty freakish vocalist. That's true. But he's like asleep right now or something. I'm not sure what his deal is. I'll hit him up somewhere. Anyway, really, this is it? Nobody? Seriously, nothing? You don't have to be good. You just have to have the desire. I mean, a little good. You have to be at least intrigued. And then a little bit good. Anyway, throw down on the chat, what you play, or what's your musical contribution. And let's let's do the thing if you're game. I just want to do something kind of fun. Okay. All right, Michael, let's talk musical theater. I don't know. Not sure. Okay. So, okay, last thing. I was thinking about maybe doing this for this class because we are kind of in the creative design kind of space. But one thing I used to do in my ethics class was I had a thing at the end of the semester that I called the literary extravaganza. And essentially it was trying to get you to think outside the box a little bit and to use a different side of your brain. And so the idea of the literary extravaganza was you could write, a poem, you could really cop out and do like a limerick or a haiku. Those are pretty cop outish. And the other thing that's really funky is just how consistently bad CS majors were at getting a limerick to rhyme. I mean, to the cadence, the tempo, right? I don't know why that was so hard. Anyway, but I used to joke and just say, well, you could do whatever you wanted. You could do an interpretive dance. You could do whatever, right? All on this subject of kind of ethics and computers, whatever. Anyway, one semester, there was a student who was like a double major CS in dance. And he did an interpretive dance. Serious, dead serious. And it was the highlight, man. It was totally the highlight. On my channel, if you go find me and Josh throwing down the Programmer Blues, right? That was the literary extravaganza. And Josh had submitted this song and that he had recorded, and it was 12-bar blues. And so I was like, hey, you got any interest in maybe throwing that down together in class, And he was like, yeah. So I brought my guitar. Anyway, if you want to check that out, it's just there in the videos on my channel. You can't miss it. But anyway, that'll give you at least a little bit of a view. Is that the video, Michael, of my Programmer Blues? Okay. You at least get a little feel for some of my acoustic guitar chops, and I do, where are we at? So in that video, sorry, we got to get to our topic, but in that video, Josh is throwing down the killer blues harp, And I don't know if any of you are in that mode, but I do keep this bad boy in my thing, where I'm at. There we go. So anyway, but Josh is the for real blues harp player, not me. I'm kind of a wannabe, like pretty much about everything I do. I'm a wannabe. That's okay. Okay, so listen up. So we kind of know where we're going to go, right? We're just going to get through what we're doing, and then when we're done, we'll think about. Sorry, I got to shrink this thing. We will think about. Final exam. We got to do a final. We'll do something. We'll do something cool for a final. That's it. Okay, so what I want to hit for starters, and really seriously, I'm so disappointed in you guys. Seriously disappointed, man. Come on. It's going to literally be me and Erica, with Erica on the Odelia on the I don't know what that is. The vocal triangle, Erica on the cowbell. I don't know. I'm going to need more cowbell. That's for dang sure. Anyway, let me know what you're thinking, okay? because really I got to do something to break the boredom and get a little more social interaction. Okay, let's do, what were we talking about? What were we doing? Were we doing communication diagrams still? Seems like it. I'm just pulling up my stuff here. We did, or was it activity diagrams we were doing? And then we got the communication diagrams. Let me see. Alrighty, I'm just opening my slides. Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah, I think we were on activity diagrams. I think I took like 3 hours to do one slide, if I remember correctly. Something like that. Approximately.
That sounds right.
Sounds like me? Is that what you're saying? Like that sounds like you.
Maybe.
Yeah. I'm not denying anything, Well, it's always never let anything get in the way of a good story is, I think, part of it as well. So, okay, let's see. So we talked about that one. We talked about this one. We talked a lot about that. It was a good discussion. I remember now. There were some really good stories. And now back to the boring stuff. But let's kind of pound through this thing. And then I think I've got a little more of the cool design of everyday things kinds of stuff. Okay. So are you ready for the boring, for the whatever? What I'm finding is that when I actually have this many people that I can talk to all of a sudden, I'm so like socially isolated that I just want to chat, just want to talk. Like I miss everybody. I enjoy the alone time. I'm definitely significantly introverted, but man, there's nothing quite like the social time either. So I like that a lot. I'm missing that a lot. So okay, so yeah. So this one here, the idea was, here comes this activity diagram, right, that we were starting from. And, we talked a bit about the cognitive idea, right? The patterns, a bit of Alexander and all the rest of that. What this is doing essentially is saying that you can take certain actions and you can decompose them, okay? So for example, this part right here can actually be sort of put together a little bit more, or sort of couched in another way. Instead of showing it kind of exposed here, you can put a box around it or kind of grab around it, give it a name like deliver order. Okay. So, and then you've still got the whole rush versus overnight, but it's just a way of showing you can encapsulate it. That's it. Yeah, it really is. It's kind of like that. Let's view that as a black box. And if I need to double click on it, I can double click on it, So that it gives you a little modularity, And then that one, I can't even read that. So I got to pivot over here. Oh, the rake, which is also like, I don't know, tridents, whatever that thing is. Rake indicates subactivity diagram. I'm not a fan of that. To me, that looks like some weird, ancient rune. I don't know. It's odd to me. But apparently that just indicates it's a way of trying to say that you can blow this thing up. So in essence, what you're doing is you're taking like all of that and it turns into that. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like you got all that stuff. It's like there's fill order and then there's this overnight delivery, regular delivery, blah, blah, blah. Instead, we just go deliver order. So we take the delivery aspect and bundle it together, make a box out of it. That's it. And then we also have this notion, which again, I hope you can see that okay. It's just kind of small. It's small for me when I'm looking through OBS. So a little bigger on my big screen. But so what is this one? Oh, this one gives you a little more detail about method invocation. So I can literally identify the method that I want to invoke to do that thing. Okay? Like I'm going to call the send invoice method, which is part of order. You know, I don't know. So what are we getting at here? The last two bullets on this slide really are kind of the punchline. We're kind of given a choice. You can, with the deliver order, we're actually increasing the abstraction. We're kind of pulling back and reducing detail. And then with this other send invoice thing, we're like decreasing the abstraction. We're drilling down and then we're increasing the detail. And you can kind of, in other words, they both give you the ability to just adjust, to your taste. If you want to, you know what I mean? If you want to drop a bunch of method invocations all over the place, because that's a view that's meaningful to you, you do it. If you want to abstract everything away and just view it much more high level, even though it's still an activity diagram, you're free to do that as well. Intermingling them to me is a little odd. If you're gonna drop method names, I kind of feel like maybe you ought to be thinking about dropping method names everywhere to be consistent, but I don't know. And as always, since we have the voice channel now, just drop in, just jump in if you have any questions or anything. Okay, questions, comments, observations, distractions. I'm all for them. Okay. Yeah, I'm dead serious. Now, as to whether everybody else wants the distractions, I can't say. Okay, so this one here is one that I particularly like in activity diagrams. We call them swim lanes. They look like swim lanes in a pool, right? That makes sense? Essentially, it's a way of partitioning the space. So there's the same activity diagram we were dealing with. But we now kind of go, well, there's one aspect which is fulfillment. There's another aspect which is like the financial side. There's customer service. And it allows me, remember Conway's Law, right? You know how organizations build software that looks like the organization? This is related, but in essence, it says it allows you to sort of create a bit of a taxonomy, a way of partitioning your system, so that maybe there's some customer service folks. It might tell you those are the people you ought to be talking to, right? The customer service people. Or maybe you ought to be talking to the fulfillment people when you do the fulfillment part, right? Otherwise, you're going to design some software and it has like no basis in reality, okay? Speaking of which, so I did tell you I've got almost a gigabit, right? Ethernet, which is fantastic, but my new internet provider, the customer service experience is, I don't even know how to describe it. But I do know that today I got, or not today, but like yesterday or whatever, I got in the mail, when last I checked my mail, there was a letter from the I'm not going to name it since we're YouTube live streaming. But I will tell anybody, individually, right, or on the channel. I'll tell you on the channel. But it was literally about like signing up for an email thing, right? Sign up to get your bill and your stuff via email. Literally, that came as a piece of paper that you were supposed to fill out the piece of paper and drop it back in the mail, back to them. Dead serious. In fact, hold on a second.
Are you serious?
I'm serious as a heart attack. Hold on.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I had to grab the, I know, right? Yeah, it's entitled, it's a letter on green paper. Email delivery and auto pay sign up. By the way, these features don't exist on their website. It's 2020. And it literally starts off, dear customer, with the continual increase in postal rates, How? No, no. I'm sorry. You're dumb. You're all of a sudden you're super dumb, right out of the chute. I think it's like somebody who's 100 years old who's in charge of their customer service. That's my guess. I mean, seriously, I don't even know what postal rates are because I don't even know how to mail a letter anymore. You know? Anybody know? I mean, I don't even know if you'd have them. Right. You know? I just know a forever stamp, right? Because you know what the driving function is of my desire to not send and receive mail? My time. That is my driving cost, is my time, my convenience, my, emotional distress, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, we'd like to give you the opportunity to sign up for auto pay. It's in quotes, auto pay. No, we don't need scare quotes. It's 2020, and we call that auto pay. Fine. It's one way to call it. Or just call it pay, right? So one of my things has been, I don't know if I share this with you guys, but whenever you hear somebody, with an advertisement thing that just goes, with the click of a mouse, like, oh my freak. That just bespeaks this is somebody speaking with a foreign accent, right? Right. They're using Netscape Navigator and it's not even, it's Netscape Navigator and it's 1995, or whatever. So it says the opportunity to sign up for autopay and save a postage stamp, parens, and then it literally goes plus symbol plus writing a check, plus writing a check. Like, I don't even have checks. I don't even know how to get them. I don't even know, really, I don't. I don't have a checkbook. No, I have a bunch of accounts. There's one business account that has a checkbook. There are no payment processing fees, blah, blah, blah. Then this elaborate thing. And then a form you have to fill out. And then you have to put this in. You have to cut it. And then send that back to them in the mail. Holy freak. I know, right? I know. Okay. Well, yeah. But this is a little bit like, signing up for, you have to you're going to try to sign up for, satellite service, but you have to send your request via Pony Express, with a rider on a horse, Then when you get there, you can get satellite. It's like a weird, I don't know what it's like. Anyway, then on the back, it's the automatic billing, auto pay. It's just, all the things we talked about, design. And then literally I have to write my routing number, if you want to do like an auto withdrawal for your bank account, sign it. And then what I did was I filled the thing out. Then I have a very nice printer right here with a scanner. I then scanned both sides and I emailed it to them. And I am prepared. Oh, wait, I got an email back. I'm sorry. I'm not going to show this, but I want to just say, oh, okay, it's been set up. It worked. Scanning it and emailing that to their support worked, but it didn't say you could do that. It didn't say you could do that. I just did it, and I was half expecting them to say, I'm sorry, your signature has to be received on physical paper or something. I was ready for it because they literally nowhere said you can scan this and email it to us. So I was ready. I was bracing for them. Yeah. It said, please fill out and return with your payment, as if that's how I pay, or call customer service to sign up and make an electronic payment now. Why can't I just go to your website and make an electronic payment? Because this is so dumb. Anyway, but they did set it up. So that was actually above my expectations for them. Oh, my friends. Anyway, it's really it's been a little bit embarrassing, even the fact that you go to their website and you can't. Okay, let me see real quick. These are true stories. Um, yeah, so McKay asked the question, right? Would you want to go ahead and sign up? The answer is yeah, because my alternative is writing a check. I don't even know what that is. All right. Okay, let's keep going. Swim lanes. Everybody see the value of swim lanes? Anything else you want to throw in about swim lanes? You get it, right? That it's you're like, whoa, we're back on the slides. Yes, we're back on the slides. No, but it's just another way of kind of compartmentalizing, understanding that there's a you can now you can think separately about a fulfillment process versus, a customer service process, a finance process, or any of the others, and you can begin to think about it again like PERT charts that we talked about. You can even think about it a little bit more like a state machine, which is if you look at this, it looks a bit like a state machine, doesn't it? It has those aspects. Yeah. Okay. Where are we at? Boom. Yeah, so let me see. Yeah, let me just any comments on this last part? We talked a little bit, right? What design issues does this lead you to think about when you see that? What software organization issues does it lead you to think about? And what sorts of decisions might this lead you to make? Just any other things you want to throw in, and I'll try to. And I know that these are not echoing back to the YouTube live, so I'll try to maybe echo, some of the good ones since only my voice is going out on the YouTube live. I got to fix that for next time.
For me, it kind of makes me think of like different dependencies you might have within the company.
Okay, like what, Erica?
Like before you can receive the payment for the financial side, you have to send the invoice on the customer service side, so that the financials in order for the payment.
So right, dependencies across the company between the different groups, right? Because the one thing that this does not really have is it's like you send the invoice, you receive a payment, but you're already like filling the order and it's delivered. And granted, this is just a dumb, example, right? But truth is, there's a bit of a dependency there between getting payment, probably, unless it's just a system where you ship out product and then invoice concurrently and get paid later. There are plenty of businesses that work that way, right? Where you've got some line of credit kind of thing, or you know what I mean, relationship with the provider. So, anything else? Anybody else? Things that decisions that it might influence, things that might make you think. Okay. So explain more. If we have a split in the, yep. You're talking about Target the store? Okay. Right, right. So for those that are not on the Discord channel, I don't know how many of those are in that category. What Michael was saying is that if you hang on a second, uh, that if you changed, what was it, Michael? If you changed the way you did fulfillment, would you have to go back and rechange this kind of a diagram so that your documentation matched your process? Probably. I mean, if this is an ongoing something that you use for maintenance, then the answer would be yeah. We talked a bit about the whole previously the notion of the interplay between a product and the documentation about that product because they'll get out of sync, readily. And so if you're going to use these documents on an ongoing basis, then you have to have it really, really firmly committed that every time you change a system, you change the accompanying documentation to stay consistent. I'm also just curious. Hang on a second. I got 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, yeah, I got 15. I got 15 people on the Discord chat, and I got 20 on the YouTube. Um, whatchamahoozer on the YouTube live watching that. So there's a few of you on the YouTube live that are not on the Discord channel where you can hear other people's comments. I'll have that fixed by next time. I swear it. Okay, let's keep going, shall we? That's swim lanes. Here's another one, and this one's a little funky, honestly, in my view. Your mileage may vary, but signals, signals are just the ability to just drop like an interrupt, to drop like something that is outside the system. It just happens, and that creates a trigger for something. And I guess when you talk about activity diagrams, you can kind of see that. Like, for example, maybe it's if you're well, anciently before Amazon, you could deliver. There were a couple potential delivery times Monday through Friday, right? And then there's like maybe one delivery on Saturday, no deliveries on Sunday, right? That kind of a thing. You'd have the days would be different, so that might be a signal that just says, hey, it's now this time after which orders can't be received on the weekend. They would have to show up on Monday, right? Amazon's kind of changing all that, but you get the idea, right? So that a time signal can be one of those things, an alert, something that something that has to happen. And so what you've got is this little, I don't know what that is. It's a signal, but I mean, it's just like the two triangles on each other. I'm not sure why I don't know why that's the symbol for the signal. And this one, what's that? Yeah, coincidentally, but I don't know. And it just happens to be reflecting time, but it wouldn't have to be. I don't know. I don't know what the inspiration was for that. Anyway, and then this shows the acceptance of an accept signal. So the time signal is more like an interrupt that just fires. And I don't know honestly, I don't have a really super clear differentiation in my mind, because taxi arrives. I get the idea that it's sort of something that comes in, but then signals also come in. Maybe it's just the idea that the time signal is like a non-maskable interrupt. It fires and it goes, whereas a taxi arrives and you can accept the taxi or not. I'm not sure. Honestly, not sure. But the whole idea just being that you've got these other events that can kind of fire. There's timing, and then there's this taxi, and these have to converge, at which point you can leave for the airport. If you're in an area where you get to the airport by taking a taxi, which would not be generally Utah. Although I have taken an Uber to the airport for a number of reasons. Yeah, anyway, that's kind of that one. And signals can also can originate within the system and can be sent outside. So, for example, this, send itinerary. So what you've got is, hang on, you've got this accept signal, and then that one is a send signal. Notice that the send has the, what do you call that? The convex sort of angle, and this one's got the concave. So this is something coming into your system, and this is something that you're sending out of your system. Honestly, these are just odd enough. I don't have ultimate fluency with these, but again, the goal is really to think about what do they do to cause you to think differently about your design, right? So I can send an itinerary, within my system, and then I can, confirm the receipt of that itinerary over here. So there's kind of the send, and that's the accept. Maybe it's just because they go together. But okay, but here's the part I don't understand again, because I'd have to probably ask Martin Fowler. To me, it seems like the time signal is also kind of sent, and that I still have to receive it. I still have to accept it. Don't I? I mean, can I do? I mean, don't we have this all the time when our alarm goes off in the morning? We're like, screw it. You know, we don't accept it. I don't know. That's my view, anyway. Um, I mean, that's kind of it for signals. Just this notion that I can generate signals, and uh, anyway. And then the next one here, I'm trying to figure out, by the way, just like how many. I'm just checking to see how many beautiful slides we have left. Oh yeah. No, actually, there's some good stuff down the stretch. I remember. Hang on a second. All right. Okay, this one with what we call expansion regions. This one is a little funky, but basically it's kind of like, it's almost like it's like iteration maybe. So the idea would be that you've got this list of a collection, okay, and for every item in the collection, all this stuff happens. And then this keyword over here is like concurrent, but it could be sequential, right? So in a sense, it could be, again, I don't know the details, right? But let's just say I want to write a bunch of articles on a bunch of topics. So I go after the topics, right? I make my list of topics. And then for every item in my list of topics, I'm going to write an article about that. I don't know if review the article is to review the one I just wrote, or if I'm, writing an article of my own and reviewing an article of someone else's. I don't know what that exactly means. But in either case, for each of these topics, that's going to happen. And if we had like 10 writers and there were 10 topics, we might just farm them out, and then but they'd still all get done. Everybody cool with that? You can view it as iteration. You can view it as, concurrent whateverness. And then at which point I can publish the newsletter, whatever. You got the idea. Okay. Let me see. What else? Oh, there's a flow final. The flow final is essentially like a sink. It's sort of, in state diagrams and finite state automata and things like that, sometimes you talk about sources and sinks, right? Sources are where stuff kind of starts from, and sinks where you hit the sink and you're done. That's just like, whatever, you're dead, you're done. So that's what this flow final says. If I write an article and then whatever, the article gets reviewed, I guess it must be, then there's this decision about accepting or rejecting. If it's rejected, then it goes into this flow final where it's like pretty, it's pretty. What could you do to make that more, final looking? Put that, the little hazard thing. I don't know. It seems pretty, whatever. Reality is that in truth, these kinds of things, writing articles and having them reviewed, sometimes are just flat out rejected. Often it's like, that's really good. But if you could change this, and this, then we'll go again. So it's more complex than that in practice. But anyway, that's what it's trying to be. There are things that go into like the dead letter file at the post office. If they can't deliver it, I don't know what they do in practice, but there was a thing they always called the dead letter file for stuff that couldn't be delivered. Okay. Cool with that? And then what else? We've also got Boolean expressions attached to a join. So we talked about the join, right? Where stuff, if we go back to, that was a split. That was a join, right? Where it comes into this guy here. But we can also sort of place a condition, like there's a join spec, which is, A and B and the value of the inserted coins is greater than or equal to the price of the selected drink, right? I presume there's also, and if it's greater than, then there has to be sufficient change, right? Otherwise you get that please do exact change, etc. And then if all those things are true and they converge, then you dispense a drink. Or if you're that pop machine up by our classroom, which never dispenses any drinks ever to anybody for any reason, as far as I can tell. I'm a little bitter about that. I'm getting over it though. Yeah, and hey, by the way, so one of the things you see here with these activity diagrams, you see a lot of overlap with state machines. Do you see that? A great deal. You could blend these with state machines in some respects, right? I mean, my goal in all of this is to give you some tools so that when you go to build your own diagram, you build what you need. You know what I mean? You build the diagram you need. And so, but there's a lot of state machine-ish stuff, right? Back and forth between these that I think are, pretty clear, pretty obvious. Okay, so let's hit a couple of the things. So the strengths, parallelism, right? Apparently they don't get used for concurrent systems. That's just, I guess, an observational fact. And most useful when you are modeling workflow, right? And then here's a definition. It's like a technical definition of workflow: the sequence of industrial, administrative, or other processes through which a piece of work passes from initiation to completion. You walk into Arby's, you make an order, could be any fast food, could be any. You make an order, and then there's a bunch of stuff that starts to ripple and trigger, and then your order converges into a bag, and they hand it. That's me handing you your bag, and that's how we can model that. And then this is really key, and this is key to all discussion of paradigms. Not all systems look and act like workflow. So just again, there are some systems for which activity diagrams are not going to help you. Okay? They're just not. That's okay. That's all right. That's true of all of these, right? There are just some views into the system that it's not going to help me. So, everybody cool with that? So, all right, a couple of perspectives. This is kind of the drum I've been beating, right? In addition to my drum kit, which I will be willing to beat in support of a distributed musical creation or a musical theatrical presentation, or honestly anything creative but collaborative. I mean, the music's kind of clear. It could be literally like, what about a film? What about like a remote? Sorry, I'm off track. What about a remote film? That you do, like everybody who's in the film has to use their iPhone, and somehow it's a little more out of my depth than say music, but I don't know. I'm just thinking. Sorry. Anyway, so here comes UML, right? And it's got all the persnicketiness and all the detail, and you got to have these books and all this stuff, right? And you know that I don't care so much, right, about all that gory detail, unless you start working for a solid, UML shop where UML is the thing, it needs to be right, and they exist. When you find one like that, they're probably going to start by sending you to a UML class where you will really, really drill down. And if it's a big enough company, it'll be an internally created thing. But, I've always said that the value of these notational systems really relate to their power to represent ideas, to make you think, to cause you to generate new ideas, right? It's a pure wharf. That vocabulary, even if it's a visual vocabulary, causes you to be able to think certain thoughts, right? And then, having understood all of this, you can roll your own. And so this is the part, I want to show you some examples that I dragged out, which I just went scouting for other people, other diagrams that they've done for sort of activity and workflow and, things like that weren't UML, but you can see all those aspects, okay? So here we go. Now this one's brutally difficult to read because of the colors. So see if you can get that to, if you can read that. And that buys me time to chew on this. Okay. Here's what we've got. Ticket or email submitted by the customer. Support case is created. Are we during business hours? Yes or no? Yes. We send the alerts to the support team. No, the alerts are sent to the on-call technician. That gets a ticket assigned. Is there a ticket assigned? Yes. Tickets reviewed based on priority by the support team. Support team resolves the issues. Is it no? Got to send a reminder till we get a ticket assigned. Was the issue resolved? Yes or no. If it's no, then the support team resolves the issues. So essentially, it's a flow chart. It's like a state machine, very similar to a state machine, right? You see it, but it's a workflow. Okay, it's very specifically built around a specific kind of workflow. And the truth is that the difference, in my view, in my humble opinion, the difference between a state machine, a state diagram, and a workflow, it's almost syntactic. I mean, or maybe it's conceptual, right? I mean, I can look at this idea here of having a ticket or an email submitted by a customer, and having that that I naturally think of that as a workflow, where maybe I think of the operation of a vending machine, which I hope you had. I haven't looked at your homeworks yet on that, but the operation of a vending machine is a lot more, feels a lot more like a state machine. It doesn't feel like, a workflow, because it's not like real people or real entities. Does that make sense? So it starts to feel a little arbitrary, because if you look at a state machine that goes, do this, and then if that succeeds, you move to this state, that state, and it's all kind of part of a machine. But if those were people doing that, it might just fit just fine in a workflow. You guys buying that? For me, they're very similar. But the subtlety is still there. How about this one? Check this one. And I don't know anything about seated cooling crystallization workflow other than what I see in this diagram. So stare at this for a second while I eat another one of these. Okay. So what do you observe? If this was if we're a little more interactive, it's better. Notice this one here. Crazy colors. These are not great colors. White on yellow is not. Okay, it's a separate issue. But notice how different the feel is, but it's really the same thing. You see it? Decisions with the what do we call those things again? Diamond? Is that a diamond? Two triangles stuck together. I don't know. But you can kind of see it, right? You got arrows for flow, stages that you have to go through, right? Yeses and nos, decisions, eventually trying to take you to your goal. You see the same thing. Okay, let's do this one. Ooh, versify, intelligence, empowered. Okay. And actually, look at that for a second, because I gotta find something. There was something, I should have seen this coming. Let me see. Well, it's interesting because here's another one. Hang on, if I can find this. Yeah, there we go. These are real. This, and I apologize, I'm going to try to blow that up a little bit. I just pulled this up right now. This right here is the, if you can read that, flowchart for treatment of 2019 novel coronavirus disease in fever clinics in Wuhan, China. Right? And, this is a bunch of stuff about which I know nothing, really. I know that little header is annoying, right? So it's like, right, there's a symptom, dyspnea or hypoxia. That's blood. I know that's blood oxygen level, less than 93%. If that's a yes versus a no, you do the blood count. Is there a fever? Yes or no. Do the CT scan, right? Blah blah blah. But again, this is a. Okay, so are you noodling a little bit about what's the difference between a workflow and a state diagram? Because I don't know. No, I think, okay, I'd really be curious about your take on that. Because I think this is starting to kind of, would you look at that and say, oh, that's a state machine? Does it feel like, you know what I mean? What's the fundamental difference? I'm just trying to get you to create some separation between these two so they don't just kind of blur together in your brain. Any ideas on that? And then here's another one, much more, actually, this is quite easy to read. This is very easy to read. This one might be as good, but it is butt ugly to read. That's just from a presentation perspective. What are your thoughts? Anybody got anything? Discord verbal people? Talk to me, my friends. I got all day. Is this that 20-second? Wait, you're talking? I'm not hearing it. I can't hear you. Oh, man. Hang on. Hang on a second. Yeah, no, I cannot hear you. Let me see real quick. No, I've got the output device. Nah, my settings are all, nothing changed. Somebody want to try talking just to... Are you guys hearing me? Thank you, Chris, Michael. And I cannot hear you. What is my deal? Somebody want to uncork and disconnect, reconnect? Yeah, hang tight. All right. Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know what happened. It just got into a bad state. Yeah, no, I've been like, man, these guys are unusually quiet. No, yeah. Thoughts about to me when I saw this graphic here, right? Then I was kind of like, oh, that's workflow. That's like not a state machine, right? But so why does that feel like a workflow diagram, aka an activity diagram, and doesn't feel like a state machine? What are your thoughts on that? Now that I have audio from you. Okay. Anybody else? That's good. That's a good thought, Michael. I like that. Yeah. The other thought that I had, and please jump in also if you have just kind of other ideas, but to me, workflow, it's about like what people or systems do. The state diagram is the description of the internal behavior of a system. Maybe? Does that kind of make sense? Whatever. The burger goes from this person to that person. There's a workflow of how the raw ingredients come together and make, this bag of McDonald's food or whatever, right? As opposed to, the internal mechanism of the fryer, which goes through, you know what I mean? It checks the temperature, hits the filament, you know what I mean? Turns that filament on, checks the temperature again. You know what I mean? There's like these internal description of the machine, hence state machine and workflow. I don't know, you know what I mean? That kind of works ish. I think that helps just a little bit. I was trying to find also, I know I'm not going to be able to find it. I'll have to cough it up for next time, probably. Okay. I'm going to give myself another 2 minutes. No, not 2 minutes. 30 seconds. There was just something that I had that I wanted to show you that relates to this, but I didn't think about it beforehand because I'm a big doof. Nah, I'm not going to come up with it in time. So timely, but the moment's gone. I know. Okay, I'm going to try one more. Oh well. Okay, I'll cough it up for next time. I'll have it next time. Okay, enough of that. Bah. Tragic. Not the greatest tragedy of any of our lives. Okay, so back to this one here. You notice again? Are we doing on time? We're doing okay on time. We got these different people. Now we identify the players: plan operator, asset manager, trader, outage coordinator. I don't know anything about what these guys are doing, but the operator requests an outage. That kicks over here. By the way, this is also a little confusing in the sense that your flow is going wonk, back this way, back that way, back to the same decision point. Everybody's notified, goes back out. Now we repeat the same body. So over here, we kick left to these guys, right? They give their stuff back. And then we kick to the right, and it's them again, duplicated. They've been cloned, all four of them. I find this just confusing as hell, frankly. Right? It goes here, and then I guess follow the colors where it steps green, which is 3. Then 4 starts the outage, requests an extension. Now we're... it's not just me, right? Is this confusing?
Oh yeah.
All parties are notified, and with Versify. That's what it's about. I don't know. and then 6 is plant operator completes the outage, and again, the fact that I have the same 4 people repeated 3 times, and it's going in and out of them. I don't know. This to me is also, there's one other really horrible thing, which is this little decision thing is color is yellow and orange, right? And then these logos are yellow and orange, as are all of their things go kind of yellow to orange, right? But there's also an orange that is the color of one of the steps. It's bad metaphors from a design perspective. It's really, really bad metaphor management, right? Because as soon as I start this thing and I say that orange is the color of number one, because every step has its own color, right? You with me on this? Also, notice how far away number 5 is, which is purple, from the rest of the purple. It's way the crap over here, but the purple's over there. So you're sitting there going, what's it? But I guess it's trying to be here, also here. This is just really bad, in my humble opinion. And this comes back to the orders of ignorance, right? And this comes back to squeaking doors. You know what I mean? This has got a lot of squeaky door going on here. Now, how would you make it better? But I promise we could refine this thing if you just... They basically did something that worked, persuaded themselves that it has an aesthetically pleasing from a distance kind of thing, and then let's call it good. But they did not pound it, refine it until it was really singing, until it just went boom, right? And released the dopamine. Shiny. They did not. There's no shiny object here. Other than the graphics are a little bit pleasing. Even the graphics are too noisy, right? Like, do I need the Versify logo twice in the decision box? You know? Anyway, maybe I do. Apparently. Okay, let's keep going. Let's get through the rest of these. How about this one? This is SharePoint Maven. I don't know anything about the company. I'm just trying to find workflow diagrams to just show you what other people are doing, right? That aren't using UML. What do you see here? What jumps out at you? 20 seconds. What jumps out at you? Yeah. There are two ends, and they're both large and obnoxious. It's a bit aesthetically bad. The light green start, but the much more emphatic and angry end, right? But what else jumps out at you immediately that we were just talking about in the lecture on UML?
Does it swim lanes?
Right? It looks like swim lanes. I mean, well, it isn't swim lanes. And what I like about it is like, okay, here's the CFO stuff. Here's the finance manager stuff. Here's the employee stuff, right? And so it really does a really good job of articulating the swim lanes, frankly. I'm not sure what the difference is between a dashed box for action and a solid box for action. I really don't know. Also, the red is getting way more, gusto than the green, right? I know they're trying to go red and green, right? Green for go and, red for stop. But sometimes you have to like balance those because red is a naturally more forceful color than green. So you sometimes have to like balance that, make this guy, like those ends, make those ends a little more pastel, right? To match the kind of pastelish sort of green over here. Anyway, a bunch of things that sort of make it, kind of pop, no pop. I'm going to hit the next one because I know we got a 20-second delay. But this is not too bad. This isn't too hard, to parse. This line here that goes out of the bottom and goes up makes them jump around it. That's a little clunk. Not sure. Okay, what about this one? I know, 20 seconds. For those of you on Discord, yeah, it'll show up on YouTube by then.
He does have the slides online that you can follow along on your.
Also true, Erica. If you can think ahead, Okay, what about this bad boy? You guys should be seeing it now. This is like, wowzer. Now, I don't know whether this is brilliant or absurd. I'm not sure because I don't know all the context, right, for who's consuming it and under what kind of a zone. Ooh, we're about out of time. We're pretty much out of time. But this is yeah, right? Something's happening. The arrows, some kind of influence. I'm not really sure. I've got two lime green people. I don't know if they're the same person or different people of the same ilk. Two darker green people. Again, I don't know. And then two blue people, right? I don't know if they're like categorically different. And here's what I would say about this one. If they are all, there's only one more slide and then we'll be done with this. But if they are all like icons that are really well known to the organization that's consuming this graphic, I don't have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about, it may be that these are all so well known as icons and what these colors and everything mean that the consumers, that this is, because this is crazy simple, although there's this like Cloverleaf Highway Exchange that's happening. If I can get my mouse over there. Where am I at? Oh, there we go. You know what I mean? This is a little bit of a funky cloverleaf right here between the yellowish orange and the blue fans. Yeah. Anyway, if these graphics are well known to people, I think that's brilliant. If they're not, I just don't know what to think. Okay, last one. This is the very last one. Which again, those of you on that are hearing this first on Discord, you got about that 15, 20-second delay. Once again, I guess I'll just start talking and you'll see it when it pops because we're out of time. Swim lanes, you see swim lanes again. There's a designer, responsible engineer, squad team and PM, document controller, owner, right? So there is definitely the swim lane factor, which is kind of cool. The graphics are a little busy, and I don't know, you know what I mean? If you look at these little icon units, I can't tell, for example, if you look at like this review by RE, review by manager, review by owner, there's these little rounded corners. They want to be arrows, but I don't know if they are. You see what I'm talking about? Have I lost everybody again on Discord chat?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, can you guys see that now?
I can.
I mean, I don't know if those are arrows or, in other words, the graphics feel, the icon graphics feel busy to me, but the basic flow, like for example, this receipt of client comments, which apparently is like, I don't know if that's a bird with a big eyeball, a magnifying glass looking at a bird's eyeball. What's that? But the swim lanes are great, And also document controller, those bangs are not working for me. I'm sorry. They're not working for me. Everybody else, everybody, the bowl cut. Yeah, the bowl cut bangs are not doing it for me. No, anyway, but you see a lot of good things, and a lot of goofy things. And also, one of the things you don't see here in this one is like all those arrows coming into the redesign and upload. And you're like, is it, as workflow, how do I know? Like, you know what I mean? I go to these like locks. What do the locks represent? Clearly a decision point, right? I guess. They all have 2 outs going out of them. 1 coming in and 2 outs going out. I don't know. Anyway, but what you can see is there's a couple things, and this is my punchline. I'm sorry for going over. I'm not like deathly sorrowful, but I am a little sorry for going over, okay? And what I want to just say is you see the ideas reflected, right? But can you also see how some of these diagrams would be enriched if they were like borrowing from UML a little more? How they might be a better diagram? Also, can you see how these could be better diagrams if they were borrowing from our slides about Norman doors and design of everyday things, right? And the notion of squeaking doors and shiny objects and dopamine, they're grabbing. There's some aspects that are cool, and then there are these aspects that are just like, what? You really lost me there, kind of thing. So point being, you're going to eventually build your own UML. You're going to learn from the stuff we talked about to give you ideas. You're going to roll your own, sort of diagrams. And then if you're going to put those out there for people to consume, you got to be thinking about design. You got to be thinking about the design of your own UML-ish diagrams. And they can be great or they can be lousy. And all the things we've talked about actually come into play on all that. Bringing it full circle. Okay, we're over time. I am really sorry for being over time. But we are going to make up for that by being under time by the end of the semester. I think we all want that. So, okay, that's all I got for now. If you have creative ideas, you're all leaving me hanging on the mega band, virtual band thing. But if you have any ideas, I need a group activity. I need some group companionship for something kind of cool. That's bottom line. So, okay, that's all I got. I'll give it just 30 seconds for any remaining, comments. And yes, please weigh in so I've got you for roll, either on, the live chat's the best way for me to find that. Alrighty, later everybody, stay safe. You bet.